And we're back on the Fowler Show. It's time for your Washington Whisper. President Trump is standing by his nominee for CIA Director Gina Haspel amid controversy surrounding her role in the agency's use of brutal interrogation measures on terror suspects. As the head of the clandestine base in Thailand in 2002, Haspel oversaw the interrogation of one terror suspect that included reported techniques like waterboarding. The torture sessions were videotaped, and Haspel reportedly played a part in the tape's destruction in 2005. On Friday, Haspel offered to withdraw her name from consideration to avoid risk of damaging the agency or her own reputation. Despite the controversy, President Trump has continued to endorse his nominee, claiming Democrats are only scared of Haspel because she's too tough on terrorism. This week, Haspel defended her record on torture and terrorism on Capitol Hill in front of the Intelligence Committee. Let's talk about it all. Let's talk about Gina Haspel. So, before we go any further, let's take a listen to President Trump talking about waterboarding and the use of waterboarding during a Republican debate when he was then candidate Trump.
They then came to me, what do you think of waterboarding? I said, it's fine. And if we want to go stronger, I'd go stronger too. Because frankly, that's the way I feel. Can you imagine these people, these animals over in the Middle East that chop off heads, sitting around talking and seeing that we're having a hard problem with waterboarding? We should go for waterboarding, and we should go tougher than waterboarding.
So, President Trump believes it's okay to waterboard, which gets us to Gina Haspel in particular. So, let me start here. Now, let me be very clear. I am not making any comparisons between what the CIA did after September 11th and the Holocaust, but I'm using this as a contextual example. During the Nuremberg trials, where many of the Nazi soldiers, many of the folks that work over Nazi concentration camps were tried, the Nuremberg judges ruled that being a subordinate or carrying out the order wasn't a defense, right? So saying, oh, well, it wasn't me, I didn't make the order, I just carried out the order, wasn't a defense. In the United States Code, 18 U.S.C., I want to say it is 2440, it indicates that the use of torture is illegal and is punishable with prison. Here's what happened after 9/11. After 9/11, the Justice Department found wiggle room in this U.S. code to codify torture. And then they lied. And the Bush Justice Department wasn't alone in America, because there's bloody hands on many sides. Yes, Democrats were aware of this torture. They were fully briefed about it, and they did nothing and said nothing, and they're just as guilty, right? But now let's get back to Gina Haspel. Gina Haspel had a direct connection to this torture. Not only did she manage one of these clandestine sites in 2002, but there is reports that a memo went out from her ordering the destruction of tapes. In her testimony, she indicated that her supervisors never checked in with her, and the memo was sent under her name without her approval. That goes beyond the point. So I'd be willing to accept Gina Haspel's nomination as CIA director if she says not only will terror never be the future of the CIA, but the torture acts that we engaged in 2002 to 2008 were not only disgusting, they were vile, and they were immoral, and I regret doing them. But Ms. Haspel can't regret doing them. She won't regret doing them because she indicates that it was better for national security for her to torture these individuals. Here's what the U.S. Army's training manual says about torture. They say the use of torture, or what they like to call, I think the name of it is brutal interrogation, or I can't remember the official name of what they call the torture, right? But they say in their manual, in the Army's manual, they indicate that this type of torture gets you nowhere. Usually, the suspect ends up just lying or doing whatever they need to do to stop the brutality. But that goes beyond the point. Before we even get into the nitty-gritty or the weeds on why torture is bad, let's just put it very simply. The Conventions on War, the Geneva Convention, which is a binding global rules on how we conduct war as a world, says that torture is wrong. But yet, we as the global leader broke that law. And we have a president that wants to appoint somebody to the CIA that not only broke the law, but was part of breaking the law, and refuses to admit that the ideal of torture is wrong. Gina Haspel, while yes, I'm happy to see a woman finally get nominated to this post, is just the wrong woman. Because if she is elected, or appointed rather, to this post, it would codify torture. It would codify some of the darkest and deepest and dirtiest parts of American history into an office. It would be the same, it's the same argument, America, that could be made if after 1865, during the Civil War, I'm not comparing torture to slavery, so don't even try that argument. I'm making a contextual point. It would be the same as saying that after slavery, we were to take the biggest plantation owner and make him the head of the Justice Department. We would never do that because it would codify slavery at the Department of Justice when the job of the Department of Justice is to defend against the ideal of slavery after we change the law. That is why Gina Haspel cannot be the nominee for the CIA. We, America, were founded to be a city upon a hill. We were founded, America, to be a beacon of light to the world. And for all those who are out there who believe that we are a Judeo-Christian nation, that I'm talking to you in particular, we cannot be the Judeo-Christian nation, the city upon a hill, the beacon of light that you say we are, if we codify and we say it's okay to torture somebody based on their creed, their color, their religious status, or their citizenship. Period. Torture is wrong. Jesus Christ, before he died, was tortured and was crucified brutally. This same type of torture is what happens to some of these detainees. America, our Constitution makes it clear that we as a nation are adamantly against cruel and unusual punishment. Whether that's on our soil or not, our Constitution should live with us as Americans, as the people. And what makes this so sad is people like Gina Haspel and President Trump, they walk around with the American flag on their lapel. They stand up and they take a pledge to the American flag, and you hear the president say over and over and over again how great the American flag is. But they forget that those 13 stripes and those 50 stars are backed by a constitution. And in that constitution, it is codified that we as a nation are against cruel and unusual punishment. So you cannot be for America and also be for torture. Those two things are mutually exclusive. But for some, once again, this president has managed to make an exclusion. Here's what the president says in a tweet. My highest respect to nominee for CIA Director Gina Haspel has come under fire because she is tough on terrorists. Think of that. In those very dangerous times, we have the most qualified person, a woman, who Democrats want out because she was too tough on terror. Win, Gina. Here's my problem with this tweet. Number one, it's not a problem with being tough on terror. It's a problem with being immoral and engaging in torture, Mr. President. I'm okay with being tough on terror. Barack Obama was tough on terror. So tough that he caught Osama bin Laden, the number one enemy on the FBI's most wanted list. The world's terrorist, Barack Obama caught. He was tough on terror, but he didn't have to engage in torture to do it. Okay?